because I love poems, and I am a poet. And let me just finish with a little poem. This is a poem about education, which is a theme that I've mentioned in my manifesto. And as a teacher, I puzzle, how can we educate the world in time? Education is a slow process to really, it's taken me 30, 40 years to begin to master anything at all. I'm just a beginner at anything and a dabbler in wisdom. But it's taken 40 years, who can invest that amount of time? The amount of hours I've spent in libraries, in universities all over the world, the amount of research I did for my PhD thesis. I don't think, I don't know, it just takes a very long time. It took me 20 years to finish that PhD because I did far too much work. I'm not someone that just does stuff by halves, shortcuts. I have to do it properly. I wanted wisdom, not just a PhD. And so that's why I love things like the Letter of Aristeas. That's why I love the Bible, because it's so full of wisdom. That's why I love the Vedas and the Buddhist scriptures and the Quran. So I've done all my commentaries on them, because these are the wisdom books that can save humanity. If I was building an ark, if I was Noah, they're the books on the ark, But education is under attack. Kids don't want to learn. Nobody wants to discipline themselves to study anymore. It's all fast food. It's like you can download fast food programs. You don't have to write or think anymore. It's all just automated. So, no. Fire up those brain cells. I hope my talks encourage you to think. That's the purpose of them. Get out there, campaign for the Brahmain Manifesto, and join the party of resistance, who are the wisdom keepers on this planet. That's why I've worked with the World Intellectual Forum, and we're also meeting in India in December. Okay, here's the notes on a conversation. And this was triggered by a discussion in the staff room when I was teaching, actually. I then went home and wrote the poem. How then can we remove the unbearable burden of the fault lines of the past? He asked. It's all in the teacher's hands, she said. Thank you, but this is impossible. As a teacher, I know. It is rather in your hands, doctors, healers, to cure the sick, the mentally deranged. They have become unteachable. And these barbarians deserve their name. They are taking over. Assassinations, executions, subtle torturings, all dressed up as something blasé, something with a spin. No, thank you. This is impossible also. We can cure what presents to us as broken, limbs, skin, fissures of bone, even perhaps a broken mind or heart. But we cannot repair what from before birth was deranged, what was born broken. That is for the parents, he said, to bring good children into the world. It is for them to love in a true way and bring love out of itself for its own fulfillment, its own beauty. As the light wore down, it glimmered sideways, through the trees and across the pool, like the wink of an angel goddess, owl-eyed, sending her photons direct to the heart from the mystery. No, not parents. On them cannot be placed the task of lifting the unbearable burden of the failures of the past. For parents become by accident. They stumble into each other at parties. They fumble into each other prematurely and end up hating themselves and gnawing at each other for their lost lives they have stolen from each other. And the children learn the stories of their disappointments, the looks, the shrugged shoulders, the indifference. The great blazing light of love does not always settle on them. And children do not always revere their parents, nor listen to them. As a stone hears the moving stream and is moved onwards by the waters and becomes, in turn, water, then it is on lovers that the burden rests. On these shoulders must this task be borne lightly. And so at last they agreed and kissed in agreement, and in kissing sailed off into the sun's rays, dripping down slow like oil or chrism on a day of glory, when light becomes air, becomes peace, becomes sound, becomes touch, becomes skin, becomes flesh, becomes moisture, becomes sweat, becomes water, becomes tears, becomes blood, becomes loving.